Yeah.
John deBary, you're here.
Hi,
Welcome to
I'm
Bake
here.
Club.
Thank you
Okay,
for having
one
me.
of the question that really everyone wants to know is, what shade of lipstick do you have on?
This is a Chanel matte chestnut.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to say the day
It goes with my brown Marilyn Manson.
Okay, Bake Club.
Situation.
If you don't know John deBary, which I don't, it would be unfathomable to me that you wouldn't, but if you don't, of the many things that you will learn very quickly about him is that he always has a very incredible look. And maybe look is spelled L-E-W-K. It's a Luke. And also one day when I decide to be a grown up that maybe does a little bit more up here, you will be my like lipstick guru. I will be like, John, I need 5 shades that I can just have to go. You'd like mentor me in many different ways, but lipstick is the like, if I ever had a question, I'd be like, John, what do I need to know? Okay, Bake Club, John deBary, incredible human all around. We have known each other for a very long time because he started off in the sort of mixology bar world at PDT, Please Don't Tell. This incredible, like earth-shattering, groundbreaking speakeasy that to get to, it was a hot dog shop. You had to go into a phone booth, pick up a phone. There was a secret entrance. It's like all of your Peter Pan childhood dreams come true. Then he became bar director at Momofuku, which is when we really got to spend a ton of time together. But honestly, I love him for so many more reasons beyond his incredible skills. Behind the bar, he most recently started this incredible NA non-alcoholic beverage company and line called Proto, which we'll talk about a little bit. He just wrote a cookbook called Drink What You Want, and there's a funny little byline too. There he is. Most recently, if he has come into your feed, it is because he started an incredible foundation not too long ago called the Restaurant Workers Community Foundation. And I will let you speak about it because it's your vision brought to life, but you've raised over $7 million these past few months to support the community that we both hail from, the food and beverage community. So, John deBary, welcome to Bake Club.
Hi.
How you doing?
So nice to be here. I like being your first non-bake Bake Club.
I know. Y'all, I was telling John, I was like, we're calling it Teach Me Something for so many different reasons. But I was like, I mean, I love to bake, but who doesn't love to learn something beyond baking? I know I do. So John's going to woo us and teach us so many things.
Yes, hopefully. I will bestow my knowledge upon you.
I love it. What are you up to today?
Not much. Doing this. Had a bunch of calls. Like you said, the Restaurant Workers Community Foundation kind of blew up when COVID happened. We had started the organization a couple years ago, and it was kind of quiet, and we were sort of doing it very part-time since we were all volunteers, and it was to address the quality of life issues that we see in the restaurant industry that had been happening for decades, if not centuries. And in March, we started a COVID fund to do like directly relief to restaurant workers, to nonprofits that are doing relief work. We're also setting up a zero interest loan program.
Oh, that's amazing.
For independent, for small restaurants, for to kind of get up and running or kind of stay alive. And that just took off really fast, and so we've raised $7 million since March, which is just really kind of astonishing to me. And we're an all volunteer organization, so it's been a lot of work on part of me definitely, but my husband Michael is also on the board, he's a philanthropic consultant in his real job, so he's been just incredible and so helpful, and we've had a huge board of 20 people right now, and they're all contributing in their own ways.
That's insane. And where do they all come from? Are they all do they all come from the industry, or are part of them like philanthropic attaches that Michael knew, plus a lot of people that know what it's like to not have the financial support when you work within the restaurant organization.
Totally. Yeah, it's a mix of both. So it's actually a lot of like former Momofuku people like Alex Camillier and Jenna German, who you know, and then also some nonprofit people. So it's a nice sort of blend of expertise where a lot of times like the philanthropic nonprofit community can not be super connected to the issues that they're facing. So it's nice to be able to have that communication and in both ways. So it's like the nonprofit people can inform the restaurant people how this all works and the structure of everything, and then the restaurant people are like, this is a bad idea, or this is, you know, they can actually provide feedback that's
like this won't be impactful to the issues that we're trying to address.
Exactly.
Isn't it also kind of insane to me? I know when you were first forming RWCF and you emailed me about it, I almost like a little bit lost my breath and lost my speech, because I thought to myself, why isn't there...
I remember you emailed me back right away. You were like the first response to my email. Like, I'm
trying to do something good for people in need. You know me, I'm like cannonball, like tell me when to show up. I'll show up in the middle of the night, I'll show up early in the morning. But there was a moment where I thought to myself, like, how have we missed this? How does this not already exist?
I mean, the truth is that there have been organizations that are addressing these issues, and a lot of times they're under-resourced or kind of limited to a certain location, like, you know, geography or a city. And the model that we're working with is, it's called a community foundation model, where we are grant making, you know, operation essentially. So we give out money, but we also don't start with an existing amount of money, like a lot of other foundations, like Ford Foundation or Carnegie or whatever. So we're trying to like raise money from people with the resources in the community to help just redistribute it to people who need it. So a lot of what we do is kind of about like literal wealth redistribution and trying to get resources to people who are actually doing the on the ground stuff. And we're kind of like a fundraising operation at the core, but we do other things. But that's
incredible. It's incredible. When I was talking to you the other day and I was like, so how do you split your time? And you're like, well, I spend like half of my work week with the foundation. So Bay Club also, it's at RWCF. Follow it, educate yourself.
RWCF USA.
Oh, USA, thank you. At RWCF USA. Yeah. Show up, support, educate yourself, spread the word. But I was like, so this also cookbook just came out. Well, I don't even know. Do we call it a cookbook?
I mean,
is there cooking? It doesn't matter. Incredible book, encyclopedia for all things wonderful that you need in your life. Drink what you want. It's also just like a way of life. I was like, so like, then when did you write the book? And you were like, well, you know, I was like technically supposed to be writing the book, but instead I was procrastinating. And like in procrastination, I just, you know, started this incredible beverage company as well, which is Drink Proto. It's Proteau. You probably can't see it. Oh, maybe there. These beautiful labels.
Is shiny, so.
Oh, just like, you're just playing it real cool. Like you're super shy over there and you just do a few things in the world. And really, you're this magical human that is crushing it on so many different levels and showing up for people on so many different levels.
Thank you.
Okay, what are you going to teach us today?
Okay, so I thought I'm like I'm not a non-drinker, but I always, as I'm sure you can probably tell, I'm interested in non-alcoholic drinks because they're hard to make and they're more accessible, and you have to get more creative with your ingredients in terms of like being able to incorporate flavors. So one of my favorite late summer beverages is this Watermelon Fennel Collins.
Watermelon Fennel Collins.
Yeah.
So it's like sweet.
All my cocktail names are extremely straightforward. So, here we are on page 178.
I love it.
I have to give a shout out to my illustrator, Sarah Tanit Jones, who did such an amazing job.
Y'all just look
capturing. Yeah, she did. And you know,
this is just a joyful picture, but that's you. Okay, so what makes a Collins?
Collins is a drink that's sort of lengthened. Lengthening is when you add volume to something, to a drink. lengthened with soda water, and usually has some kind of like citrus acid and base spirits. So the classic Tom Collins is like gin, lemon juice, sugar, and soda water. And so for me, the expansive definition of a Collins is just something that's like a tall, long.
I like that. It's a long
drink. The long drink. Yes.
It's elongated. Oh my God, we're making watermelon fennel watermelon. It's a tongue twister. Watermelon Fennel Collins. What I also love about Drink What You Want is, and of the like 101 reasons I was so pumped for you to come on Bake Club to teach us, was also like your approach to beverage and your approach to this drink, this whole book, this way of life is this sort of like, your beverage approach is very similar to my baking approach, which is like, of course you can be fussy about it. And also you can do some killer stuff in your kitchen without being fussy. And I love that approach that you have in the world of beverage.
Yeah.
Where's that come from?
Thanks. I mean, I think there's a reason why we're like friends. There are a lot of reasons, but for me, it just comes from applying lessons that I've learned over the years to like all different styles of service. Like working for Momofuku, you know, we had like the entire range of fanciness, you know, from like fuku, fried chicken, like super easy, like rum and coke kind of stuff, to like you know, fancy Michelin stars. So the way to kind of keep yourself sane when you're doing that is to kind of see how things are more alike than they are different, and apply lessons that are really universal, and not have to sort of like get really like in the weeds with specifics, because you're kind of like, oh, if you take a step back and look at something, you're like, oh, this is actually just like this, just with a different kind of skin on it. And so that was what I wanted to get across in the book, where, you know, like you said, you can get really fussy, you can do a lot, you can get really out of control, or you can just take it really easy and just not be so hard on yourself, and realize that, like, for me, it's like when you do more than you thought you could, when you kind of surprise yourself, that's like so rewarding, whether or not you're surprising yourself by throwing a drink together like in the park, or, you know, in some weird situation, versus surprising yourself with doing something really fancy and getting lots of, you know, expensive spirits and stuff like that. So
there's an approach to so much of what you've said that I'm like, that's an approach to life. Like it far supersedes that sort of like, there's more things in common than there are differences. And when you start to put it together that way, as opposed to think, it's almost easier to think about it the other way, to think about most things in life the other way than to think about it this way. And then the idea that like, you can make something amazing in your kitchen with what you have. You have everything you need. It's just kind of about how you bring it together, how you put it together. Like the idea that this is about to be an amazing drink is like, I would not think of these two things. I'd be like, I'm trying to eat that at the beach, and that is beautiful, and I would just stare at it. You know what I mean? And be like, what do I do with it? What do I do with it? And you're gonna be like, we're making a drink. We're making something bubbly. We're elongating some flavors to bring a little life to life today.
Lengthening.
Okay, tell me, where do we start?
So we start with the white pepper fennel syrup, which actually is from a different recipe. It's on it.
Gotcha.
175. If you want to
I'm on it.
And so this also illustrates something I have in the book, where it's like, you can make this syrup and it's sweet, it tastes a certain way, and then you can sort of swap it out for other things in the book too. So you can get creative with it as an ingredient, rather than just thinking about it in like a specific context.
Oh, I love that. So lot of, how much of like mixology and making great drinks is syrup based from your standpoint? Because this idea of a white pepper fennel syrup is pretty epic. And when I take a step back, to your point, rather than being like blown away by the idea that this syrup is going to be so luxurious, I'm like, oh yeah, I already have all that stuff in my kitchen. Why would I never think to make it? Yeah,
I mean, syrups are good because drinks need to have some degree of sweetness to kind of taste okay. I mean, not like, it doesn't need to be super cloying, but like they need to have some kind of body. That's usually where body comes from, is sugar or something.
Oh, like viscosity,
Yeah,
something
exactly.
to coat your mouth.
Yeah. And in general, it's from sugar. And also sugar is a good like substrate for flavor. So you can like basically infuse things into it, and the sugar will absorb the flavors and carry them into a liquid form. So that's what we're going to do here, with basically put everything in a blender and just pulverize it for a couple minutes, and then the sugar dissolves in the water and in the fennel and the seeds, everything just gets all.
Oh, this is brilliant. So we're making a syrup also, not in the way that you would think about making a syrup in simple syrup land, i.e. we're not going on the stove. We're making a syrup by cold blending. Yeah,
which is sort of my like lazy person version of making a syrup. You can do this with simple syrup and then blend the simple syrup with everything else, but you can also just
what's the point?
Blend it for a while.
We're trying to make a cold drink, not a hot drink.
Right.
Okay, tell me.
So,
I have
or you can like buy simple syrup. Okay, so my blender is hiding over here.
Okay.
And I generally start with the liquid first, so you don't have like a gloopy mess at the bottom of the blender.
Oh, that's a good idea.
A cup of filtered water.
Why filtered?
Because you can get like chlorine flavors from tap water, or you can have, you can either filter it yourself or buy it, or also you can just let tap water sit out for a while and the chlorine can burn off.
Oh, really? Y'all, are your minds blown yet? Really?
That's like, I learned that when I was a lifeguard in high school, because you have to keep putting chlorine into the pool because it evaporates.
No way!
That's why you have to keep adding.
I know that. I'm a terrible swimmer. Like, would never be invited to be a lifeguard. Okay, that's really good to know. Okay, so we got that. We got sugar. So we have 1 cup of water and 1 cup of sugar. So it's basically equal parts sugar to water.
And that's like a standard syrup spec.
Yes. Okay. I love this idea that
is that a Cambro?
Oh my God, it's a Cambro. Wait, John deBary. Guys, the other thing you have to know about John deBary, obsessed with Cambros. A Cambro are these like, oh my God, there he is. I keep all my flour and sugar and stuff like that in Cambros, y'all. Cambros are it's a brand of storage container that we use in the restaurant industry. They make them up to 24 and 48 quarts. That was a 4 quart. You can usually tell by the color of the lid and the size. This is an 8 quart. John deBary is so obsessed with Cambros that I'm pretty sure he like stores his toothpaste in Cambros because
that's a good idea.
He just so much.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to do a capsule collection with Cambro.
Oh my gosh, you would bring so much color to life. I love that. I love that idea. Okay, so we have 1 cup of water filtered. And if you don't have filtered water, you can let your water sit out overnight till the chlorine evaporates.
Or you can just use it. You're not gonna.
Or you can just use it. Okay, 1 cup of sugar. Then what else do we have? I have this beautiful head of fennel.
Yeah, so mine wasn't as nice, so I chopped it up already. And I just chop it up into like this guy.
That's a pretty thin baby, right?
Yeah, just like chunkies, and then I just.
It's for flavor, like we're ultimately straining it off, so it's really to get flavor out more so than it is these like equal, even pieces.
Right, because it's gonna get pulverized.
Ooh, and it's super aromatic too.
Yeah.
Why fennel and watermelon as a flavor combo?
That's a good question. They're 2 of my. I love watermelon. I love fennel. I think that there's like a nice like gentleness to both of them, and the way that the fennel. I mean, the sort of the watermelon is kind of round and juicy and kind of like the kind of roly-poly flavor. And then the fennel has a nice little supporting herbal sharpness to it. So it's a cool balance for me.
You could totally be good friend. Like, it's really interesting. I would never think to put the two flavors together, but there's, to your point, like a botanical aromatic to the fennel, but there's a gentleness to it as well. Like it exists on its own terms, but you can tell that it would be a really gentle flavor friend.
And I'm also just like a fennel evangelist.
Oh, wait, are you the kind of person
people just
black jelly beans?
Yeah.
Do you go
and
like, are you
the licorice with the salt?
All of it.
Yeah.
That's you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, I'll share all my black jelly beans with you. That's so interesting. Okay, so it's 2 cups of chopped fennel, which is basically 1 bulb cut down.
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate.
Okay, what else goes into this magical blender pitcher?
And then we got 2 tablespoons of white peppercorn.
Ooh.
You can use pink if you want, or if you have it, that's fine. Black also is an option, but it's going to be really different from a flavor perspective.
Different,
really
more
spicier,
aggressive?
Yeah, it's going to be super aggressive. Like, it'll probably taste good, but it won't be this exact thing. But white pepper is reasonably easy to find, especially online.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Christina, I gave you white pepper. This is the voice of God.
That's real.
I was looking for it in a spice container. Go figure. Thanks, Shani. Sorry about that. White peppercorn, which is one of my favorite, like, pickling, mulling spices too. That gives an edge, but still doesn't steal the show. And somehow I think maybe it's like really of this season. Like, when you can get really beautiful watermelon is kind of when a white peppercorn play makes more sense. I would think of black peppercorn almost like more of those like dark winter, like the sunset at 4 p.m. That's when you're reaching for the black peppercorn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Black pepper moment.
Amazing. Okay. Great. And then fennel seed, right?
Yep.
And how much fennel seed do we have?
It's the same. It's 2 tablespoons. Yeah.
All right. We have 1 cup of filtered water, 1 cup of sugar, 2 cups of chopped fennel, 2 tablespoons of white or pink peppercorn, and then 2 teaspoons of the beautiful fennel seed.
And I use the fennel seed because it kind of amps up the fennel flavor. It's
Got
like
it.
a nice supporting bit. So
Yeah, I was smelling it compared to the fresh fennel, and it is
different.
really, it's definitely different, but in a lovely way. It makes me feel like the reason that we would like salt a cookie dough is to like help support and provide a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the smell of that fennel seed gives me. It gives me that feeling.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, what's next?
So you got everything?
I got it all in here.
Yeah. So that's just blended on high for 2 minutes.
That's insane. And so what the heat of the motor helps dissolve the sugar, and just the friction that naturally
just the action, just like the violence of it just whipping around, just
the violence of the blender. Okay, that's a lid on moment. Something tells me if we're gonna get violent in the blender, it's a lid on moment. Okay, here we go.
Two minutes is a long time.
Well, it's funny when you're watching 2 minutes happen, you're like, oh, it's only been 20 seconds. I mean, I can smell the aroma of the peppercorns and the fennel, and I haven't even taken the lid off.
Yeah. And it does get warm.
Oh, that's insane. So first off, it's this really funky color.
Well, it'll settle. It's a lot of it's air. It'll clear up, especially also when you
got it. And you have what? Was that a brilliant coffee filter?
Yeah, so this is a regular gold coffee filter that you can get. This goes into a regular coffee machine, but it has a really fine mesh.
Yes.
So this is sort of my gold standard for strainers.
I love it.
And then I just use a deli container.
I'm going old school sieve into a glass bowl. Oh, that's so interesting. That makes a lot of sense. So it looks super voluminous, almost like applesaucey, but it's really from the air, to your point.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely thick, but it's not, a lot of the solids will get filtered out.
That's really, I've never made a syrup like this before. That's a really, really, really brilliant approach. One, because it allows you to think about syrup beyond just like steeping a dried hard spice, and instead allows you to think about a flavor of syrup. I don't know that I would ever think about something like fresh fennel within a syrup, or I'd like think about pureeing the fennel down and then adding it to something that I heated up in sugar and water. And this is just like a brilliant, like no nonsense, cut out all the steps.
Yeah, it's just, I'm just profoundly lazy. So I'm just like, how can I just collapse everything into as few steps as possible?
But brilliant. That's how you come up with it.
Yes.
So do we let this, or it basically hangs like this?
Yeah, just let it hang out, and then you can do the watermelon juice next.
Oh, okay, perfect. Let's watermelon juice it up. Okay, I have a question, because I feel like if my mom's watching this, she's gonna be like, I got watermelon juice, I got it at the store. Here's what it is. Does this count as watermelon juice? Where does your limit for what is permissible? Like when you call for orange juice, can you bring Sunny Delight to the party? Or is it like, y'all, just get some watermelon and blend it down?
I mean, basically, I would say that's technically fits the definition of watermelon.
It's 10% blend.
But to me, watermelon is so fragile. Like it tastes off after 8 hours. So you really want to do it like day of, because it's just for the flavor. But again, if you're just want to get the job done and you're just, it's either that or nothing.
Yeah. If you're like in the park and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm trying some watermelon fennel fizz or
It's
watermelon
like this using what you have on hand.
Yeah.
If you have the time. But watermelon's great because the yield is so high that you basically can make like 12 ounces in 2 seconds.
Got it.
Like an immersion
And
blender.
watermelon juice is basically like the beautiful ruby red part of a watermelon, just blended down, puree.
Yeah.
So
Or if you have a juicer, like a schmancy juicer, that works too. But I use an immersion blender.
Oh, interesting, like a little stick blender.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, I'm gonna give this babe a rinsey. Hold up. I don't know if I've ever told you, but I never had watermelon juice before in my life until I went to this place in Miami. It's my favorite place to get a burger. It's called El Mago de las Fritas. So like the king, a frita is like a Cuban burger. And my favorite thing to get is a frita with cheese. Oh no, it's called a caballo of the horse, which I've never really asked El Mago why it's called that, but it's that with a side of watermelon juice. And I had never had watermelon juice before. I mean, I guess technically I have because I've eaten watermelon, but it was so life-changing for me how fresh watermelon juice makes me feel, when I'm eating a delicious burger, but two, in life. It is like, it's life-giving. It's like drinking from the fountain of life.
I'll straight up eat an entire full-size watermelon in like 2 hours.
You're like, Michael, cut me up the watermelon and bring it to me. And that's it.
I mean, I do it for myself, but yeah, he watches me do it in horror, so.
And laughs, I'm sure. What's Michael's favorite cocktail?
Well, I have to say the one that I made for him for his birthday. He was born on the day of the Stonewall uprising, like literally the actual time when it was happening. And so he always refers to himself as the Stonewall baby.
The Stonewall.
So I created a cocktail called the Stonewall Baby. It's like a bourbon, kind of a whiskey sour with blueberry preserves and a little bit of bitters. And we had a a birthday. Yeah, he had his birthday party at PDT. We did like a little private party for a few hours. And then he proposed to me in front of like everyone that we knew, including my family and parents and everything. So it was a very memorable moment. Yeah.
Okay, so the
So
Stonewall
that's his favorite
Baby is like loaded with emotion and feeling.
Yeah.
What page is it on?
Let me see. I should know this by now, but
Stonewall Baby. I
199.
love 199. I also love the idea that blueberry preserves are, come on. I love the idea that blueberry preserves, like I'm always like on Bake Club, like, yo, I know you have jams and jellies and preserves on the door of your fridge and you haven't used it in ages, so you better pull it out and do something with it. I love it that in Drinkland is a perfectly good place to bring preserves to the party.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice because there's like the pectin from the preserves is a nice chewy texture to the drink. So it's a cool, convenient way to get like raspberry or whatever into your drink, but also it's like a nice little lush texture too.
I love that. All right, that's the next one I'm going for. Okay, so I have my watermelon. I just puree it, and that's boom. We got watermelon juice. How much watermelon juice do I need all day?
All day. Well, the drink itself calls for 3 ounces, but that's a single serving. If you want to do that, that's cool. Or I might stretch it out a little bit and make a pitcher.
Ooh, oh, a pitcher. That's the way to do it.
So I might like double the recipe or triple it.
I love it. All right, here we go.
Yeah, maybe nine, like a cup and a half. If you want to make a big one. That's funny. I got about this.
Done. 11 seconds. Boom.
Boom.
I got
done.
watermelon juice.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the story with, like, if I'm at home and my partner is not someone that also makes nowhere near as great of a cocktail as you, but knows how to make a good cocktail. If I don't have a little like ounce measure, what do I do with all this?
Well, something that I find helpful is that 2 ounces is a quarter cup. And most people have quarter cup in their house. So that's a really good place to start because a lot of cocktails will start with 2 ounces of base spirit or something. And 2 is pretty easy to multiply or divide. And a tablespoon is a half an ounce.
A tablespoon. Great.
So between those 2 things, you're pretty set.
Got it. So you don't need the fancy bar tools to make a delicious drink.
I mean, they're really nice to have. And I know.
Yeah, it'd be like telling a bartender, you can make a chocolate chip cookie. You just gotta fill your one. You gotta fill it 1 ounce 10 times, and it's fine.
Right. Exactly.
That's a good gift. That's a good gift for yourself. Okay. Where are we at? Do we have any more prep? I have my fennel syrup, my fennel peppercorn syrup happening. I have my watermelon juice made.
Yeah. Do you have sparkling water of some kind?
I have bubbly water, which I love.
Oh,
I love that you chose a Collins because one of my favorite things I'm always drinking fizzy water. I like it because the effervescence and the acid, honestly, because I eat so much dessert or rich food in general, it settles my tummy. And it's one of my favorite drinks. Like, I'm a sucker. If there's something on a menu that says that there's like going to be bubbles, the effervescence every time.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for it.
Yeah, I go through a lot of vintage is
that your go-to?
This and the sparkling smart water.
Oh, yeah, dude, because you get a huge container of it.
It's huge. And also it has this like really nice, fresh kind of acidity to it. I don't know what they do.
Yes.
But it's just like.
That's also like kind of an interesting conversation around sparkling water that like bubbles, that sparkling water is very different brand to brand. It lands differently. Some are more aggressive bubbles. Some are less aggressive. Some there's more acidity. Some there's less. Some have a little bit of like, it's not skunked, but like it purposefully has a different, it has a distinct flavor to it that for me is a no flavor.
I did a blind test for GQ like 2 years ago. And I brought like food and beverage people and we had like a whole tasting panel and I did like scorecards and we like rated it on like bubble intensity and minerality and
gosh.
Yeah.
What did Find out.
Polar seltzer
Oh, yeah.
was the overall favorite. And then Sparkling Smart Water did really well.
Interesting.
I threw in the Soda Stream, like the DIY stuff, and everyone knew what it was right away. They were like, because the bubbles are like super huge.
Yeah.
And
That's very interesting because the wand just kind of forces it into the picture.
And Topo Chico didn't do well.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, did you do Topo? Because I really like Topo on its own when I've got nothing else going on, or like when I'm eating something really spicy or really aggressive, because it's like an equal counterpart of aggressive effervescent. But I appreciate that in the everyday, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, there's like a little bit of a sulfur minerality happening with it, which can be nice. But also I think people like the bottle. Like the experience of drinking it out of the bottle, if you take it away, it changes everything.
Totally. Oh my God, I love it. Well, basically, if you have questions about anything big or little, if it comes in liquid form or aromatic form, or it's the color of a lipstick, my man's your man. My John's your John. Hair color also, just saying. I always wanted to go cranberry when I was a teenager, like the cranberry, like one of the cranberry singers. I wanted to go like a really dark maroon. And my mom was like, 100% that's never gonna happen. And I'm not sure why I listened to her, but I feel like the ship has sailed on hair color for me, but I live vicariously through you. Okay,
perfect. Well, I just did this. I'm going for Captain Planet.
Oh, it's working. It's totally, well, like Captain Planet meets who was the like weird he was like in charge of the Power Rangers. I guess that was Captain Planet. Like he was like a little bit of like the he wasn't one of the Power Rangers. He was like the guide, the Charlie's Angels of the Power Rangers. But maybe he was just like an image or a vision. He never actually.
He was on like a screen in the home base. I don't remember what he looks like, but.
This color reminds me of that. Okay, it's working. I just want to say, you get my vote. Okay, so I have my bubbly water. What else do I need?
That's it. Got the syrup, juice, bubbly water. It's super simple.
Okay, got it.
Ice.
Oh, ice. That's
pour into.
Okay, I have my lime and I'm gonna wedge it, but how do you wedge it? Do you wedge it as a triangle or do you wedge it as a little half moon?
That's up to you. I do the half moon.
You do the half moon.
So like the polar cuts.
Mm-hmm. I always wondered, like, is there like in the world of mixology, is there like the right way and a wrong way to cut a lemon or a lime?
Yes. If you leave the seeds in,
that's the only
serve it, it's just the kiss of death.
That's the only faux pas.
But also there's a way, when you want to perch it on the rim, if you cut into it too much, it doesn't pinch nicely. Oh, so
you give it the tiniest little what would you say, like a quarter of an inch in. So I brought it to like here, but not all the way.
Like less than you think you're gonna need.
Got it. Because the rim of the cup will give you the rest.
Right.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So no seeds and don't indent too far.
Yes.
I mean, I can be super quiet judgmental when I'm like eating a piece of pie and I'm judging like the way someone rolls out a pie crust, but I don't actually know what those things are in mixology terms. This is a good one. Okay, got it. I'm gonna throw shade on someone next time I get a lemon seed in my wedge.
Yeah, the seed thing is good. Maybe I'll get in trouble for saying this, but one time we were at Ma Pesh and we were up on the balcony and Dave looked over and looked down on one of the tables and could see seeds in a lemon on someone's like tea service. And I was like,
over.
Yeah.
Also though, that is like just my favorite, like mad respect Davism of like,
right. He was just like casually looked over.
A seed on a seed on a lemon wedge in an iced tea from one story above is like someone that cares a reasonable amount, like the right level of reasonable amount. Someone cares about you and your drinking experience that much. And then I'm sure when it happens to you, you're like, but whatever.
Because not only is it like not great to get seeds in your lemon, and it's like a thing that you have to deal with, but also it's like the brown M&Ms in the rider for that Rock Band or whatever, where it's like if you're not paying attention to that little detail, you're probably skipping a lot of other steps. So it's a good like barometer.
Yeah, I love that. It definitely is the sign of something. It means something bigger depending on whether it exists or doesn't exist. Okay, I've got my ice, or I'm getting my ice.
Got it.
Whoa. All right, I'm set up. I have all my mise en place. I've got my fennel peppercorn syrup. I have my watermelon juice. I have my perfect little lime wedge, no seeds, cut just a little bit, much smaller than I think, half moon vibes. And then I also have my ice.
Cool. So let's double the recipe that's in the book. So it's like a for two.
Okay.
Situation. So start with the white pepper fennel syrup that should be drained hopefully by now.
Yes, it is.
Although what I like to do when I'm building sparkling drinks, it's called the soda sandwich.
Tell me.
What you want to do is if you're building a drink in a glass as opposed to like shaking it or stirring it, and it has a sparkling ingredient, I put a half to a quarter of the total amount of whatever sparkling ingredient you're going to add to the bottom, so that when you pour all the other ingredients on top, it mixes in, and then you pour the rest on top, and it gives you this nice mix.
So the agitation of, you have the base of it, so your syrup can't sink.
Right, exactly.
Because bubbles will keep it afloat. And then the final of the bubbly, that agitate. Oh, I love you. I love you. I've learned so much already. Okay, here's my pitcher. My real pitcher.
Cool.
Okay, so we're going to do soda Sammy.
Just a splash of the soda. And then the book says 1 ounce, but that's a single serving. So if we're upping it to 2, just do 2 ounces, which is also a quarter cup. So you can use the quarter cup measure if you want.
Okay.
And then I do 3 ounces of watermelon juice. So that's 6. That's a cup and a half.
Got it.
For watermelon juice.
You're so good at this. Oh my gosh, this water smells amazing and is so beautiful. So a cup and a half. How often do you come up with new drinks?
It's been a really long time.
Really? Like it's probably never been in your mind, but maybe it's like, when do you like put it? What do you do when you have a new idea? You have RWCF, you have Proto, and then you just publish the book.
I'm trying to coast off the book for as long as I can. So.
Hello, we have Stonewall, baby, and I get it. I get it. You got to keep the good ideas in your back pocket. Okay. I'm just gonna drink some water. I'm gonna drink the rest of my watermelon juice. Okay, so I have a cup and a half of watermelon juice in just after my first splash of sparkling water for my bubbly Sammy.
Yeah, and then that's it. It's like 3 ingredients essentially. If you count the fennel. So it's once you're
okay. And then what do I have next? Fennel syrup?
Yeah.
And how much goes into this beautiful pitcher?
So if you're doing a double, it's 2 ounces of fennel syrup.
Great. Oh my gosh. This is beautiful. And with any fennel syrup that we have left over, what would you recommend? Can we keep it out at room temp, refrigerate it?
No, I would refrigerate it, or actually you could probably freeze it for a while. Yeah.
Could you, as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, I have all those little, like, I don't want to freeze it in a deli container. Can I freeze it into like little cubes, like in an ice tray?
Yeah, that's great.
I'd be very that and just in some like Arnold Palmer iced tea.
Absolutely.
Woo.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 4 ounces. Oh, I didn't put all my sparkling water in. I put some of my sparkling water in, then 3 ounces of watermelon juice, then 1 ounce of my white pepper fennel syrup.
Yeah.
And the rest of my sparkling.
Yeah, so you have the watermelon, you have the fennel, and then if you're doing a double batch, you're saying 8 ounces, so it's a cup.
Got it.
You can. It's a pretty forgiving drink. You can eyeball it.
Got it. Well, you know me well enough to know I'm like I eyeballed.
Yeah.
I've already taken it upon myself to eyeball. And then, do you put the cubes into your pitcher or into the glass itself?
You can do both. I put into the pitcher because it helps to chill and dilute it a little bit.
Got it.
And then maybe have a couple of cubes in the glass.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna say cubes for the glass. The foam on this, can we just, it is like this beautiful, I don't even know, I have the worst lighting here. It is the most beautiful, like just, it's pink. It's like Gem and the Rockers pink foam from the watermelon juice, which I'm very into. Okay, what is the appropriate Collins cup? Is it tall and long because we're elongating?
Yeah, you can do tall and long. I just pulled out like a tumbler, like a rocks glass.
I think I have something you're gonna like. I only have glasses from the thrift store because I'm very clumsy and I always break them. But I have these two, and I feel like maybe this one because I want to show off the Gem and the Rockers vibe. Okay, so ice in, and then just pour the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Would foam on it make you mad or make you happy? Oh my God, it's beautiful. Yo,
and with the glass, it kind of looks like a watermelon with the black bands being seen.
Oh my gosh, it totally does. Love this. And then what's your MO? Are you straw, no straw? Is it just personal preference?
Personal preference. I have some metal straws at home that I keep around for when I need it.
Okay. Yes, totally.
Also, depending if you're lipstick or no lipstick, that's also the straw question.
So what is that? It's always a straw when you're lipstick, right?
Depends, yeah. If you want to keep your lipstick on, then yeah.
Oh, I see. You're like, what?
You're like, yeah.
I love that. You're like, that is it. I think there's nothing more refreshing than drinking like a drink on the rocks through a metal straw in like the real dead of summer. There's something about like when you
shoot a water gun into your mouth.
You want to know? That's exactly what I was. You're the best. Just a super soaker. Open up.
Yes.
Okay. Before I cheers you, can you please tell me about the brilliance that is this non-alcoholic botanical line of spirits that you have in Proto? The labels are gorgeous. These flavors, I have strawberry, chamomile, rhubarb, hibiscus, which feels just like magic waiting to happen, and blackberry, chrysanthemum, black pepper, dandelion. You have multiple flavors. They're all based around the Lower East Side, which is where you live. Give me more. Why did you go in this direction? Also, I like that you did it while you're procrastinating writing your cookbook.
Yeah, I was procrastinating. I'm a big nerd for like Italian like liqueurs like Campari and Fernet Branca and all those things. And one of the things I like to do to like break up those flavors is to find the individual botanicals like in the world, like, you know, at the store or wherever, and then be able to like identify them and infuse them into your own things separately. And then you can kind of find out how they work in other things. So I had these hibiscus, gentian, chamomile, Chinese rhubarb, you know, licorice, et cetera, just kind of lying around my house. And I just started to make individual infusions into water. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control. I wanted to create things that were really food friendly. So a lot of non-alcoholic drinks are kind of geared towards like cocktail and like that kind of setting. So this is not meant to be, it's great mixing. You can do whatever you want with it, but it's meant just to be perfect out of the bottle. So you're just like opening up a bottle, pouring it out into a wine glass or something, and then boom, you're good to go. And you can have it with whatever you're eating. So that was kind of one of the priorities for me, especially as someone who worked in a restaurant. I was like, how is this going to go with food? And I also, as a bartender, I wanted to create something that was like finished once you got it. So you didn't have to do anything to it once you open the bottle. So it's like the hospitality moment of just being like, I created this thing for you specifically. And it's
I mean, their centerpieces just in the kitchen, they're so beautiful. Their centerpieces. I love that you can just show up with a bottle or open a bottle and have it be like a companion to whatever it is that you're eating. I love that it can also be an ingredient. Vinegar, though one is a fig vinegar and one is a champagne vinegar, there's an acidity to it as well. So it's not like you're not getting a syrup or a juice, you're getting a beautiful sort of like mixed, truly NA beverage, different than our Watermelon Fennel Collins, but certainly like with the same sort of beautiful mindset of how do these flavors play together and go together.
Yeah, and using non-alcoholic botanicals like fennel and pepper and these kind of adult flavors to create a sense of like specialness in your drinks, because a lot of NA drinks, like especially like cocktails, can be a little fruity.
Yes.
I mean, this
fruit are just like soda. Soda with a splash of something, or ginger beer with something else, which is nice. But you're like raising the bar way beyond what exists in the NA Bev game. You could add a splash of a spirit if that's the direction you want to take it. Same with this Watermelon Fennel Collins, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I'm a big tequila guy, so I would spike it with some reposado.
And what's the vibe of that tequila? Is it super smoky? It's less of a mezcal, more of a tequila. So
this is called Siete Leguas, and it's just all around my favorite tequila in general.
Got it.
And this reposado means that it's aged in oak barrels, so it has a little bit of like not quite smoky, but it's like woody and earthiness to it, but it isn't really super overpowering. So it's a nice balance. And goes along with the fennel kind of vibe of the drink. So it's a nice companion. But the Collins is good with like vodka or gin, probably rum.
Got it. It's kind of like you have a sip, you go into your own imagination and you decide what will work for you. It's super versatile. I'm trying to look at how beautiful the color of this thing is. It is out of control. I'm going straight up. I don't need anything else but my watermelon and my fennel. Oh, it is like my mouth has like when you go outside for the first time into like nature, when you haven't been there for a moment and you can smell things and see things. It feels like you are in the world. Yeah. And also to your point earlier on the syrup, the viscosity is really nice. It's not stretched in a way that is dilutive and thin. It's not thin. It still very much holds its space as you're drinking it.
It lingers on the palate.
It lingers. John deBary, thank you so much for teaching us so much from drinking what we want through this Watermelon Fennel Collins to what is a Collins to the beauty and wonder of how to keep your lipstick on when you're drinking, when you're having a drink, to how to show up for and support our community within the restaurant industry at RWCF USA, to Proto. You can get your hands on any of these bottles and then some. They're literally beautiful centerpieces. You should send them to humans that you know that are really curious in the flavor department, or send them to your own door. It's Drink Proto. It's Drink Proto, which is PROTEAU.com. Follow this amazing human on Instagram. He has so many different facets of the ways in which he shows up in the world as his own, like, just brilliant, generous, unique self. I am a super fan of John deBary, and I know you will be too. Bake Club! I hope you learned so much from John. And don't you worry, you know he's taking over the gram on Tuesday. So you've got so much more to learn. We all do. John, thank you so much for teaching us today.
Thank you.
You are the greatest. And thank you for being who you are and doing what you do in this world.
Likewise. Thank you too.
Stonewall Baby's up next. Give Michael and the kitty cat my love.
I will.
Okay, bye.